In last week's class, we introduced the idea of research design validity. Today we're going to start looking at threats to validity. These are biases that you want to look for when you're evaluating a study to see if they may have affected the results. It's important to remember that there's always going to be some sampling error. There's always going to be some difference between the sample and the population the investigators are trying to represent. So sampling error is not something that you're going to be looking for the study to measure or explicitly address. Selection bias, on the other hand, is a threat to the validity of a study. Selection bias happens when there's an important difference between the sample in the study and the population. This may happen if the investigators choose a sample of elementary school kids and only pick kids from the gifted and talented program. They're not going to be representative of the entire K-6 population. Or if the investigators are interested in older adults and only recruit from a single skilled nursing facility, there may be something about that skilled nursing facility that makes those participants different from other older adults. Volunteer bias happens when a study uses a volunteer sample. We know that people who volunteer for a study tend to be more motivated. So the people who see an advertisement or a flyer and contact the investigators are more motivated to be in the study than people who saw the advertisement and didn't call. Volunteer bias tends to favor the intervention. So if an investigator is looking at study skills, for example, and uses volunteers, they are probably going to get people who want to increase their study skills. And if a study looks at weight loss, then volunteers are probably more motivated to lose weight and will probably work harder and make the intervention look better than it would with a true non-probability sample. Referral bias is a potential threat when clinicians or teachers are asked to refer people to participate in a study. They're probably going to refer the people they think are going to do the best in the study, and they're probably not going to give investigators their worst, most difficult clients or students. They're going to refer people that they think are going to follow the protocols and follow the intervention and be motivated to do the work. A small sample can bias a study in two different ways. If a study has a small sample, then any outliers will have a greater impact. For example, if a study on running speed only has 5 subjects and one of them is Usain Bolt, then the average running speed is going to be really skewed by Usain Bolt. But if there are 10,000 or 100,000 people in the study, then Usain Bolt alone is not going to skew the numbers nearly as much. The other way that a small sample can bias results is in terms of statistical inference, and we'll get to that in a later class. It's also important to consider the sample in terms of external validity. Is there something about the people in the study that would make the intervention more or less effective than it would be for other people? You should consider the sampling method that was used to recruit people and the inclusion-exclusion criteria that were used to select participants.